Tessa with Hip Over 50. I'm still house sitting at the cottage in Somerset, and I happen to be doing it alone. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. How do you handle being alone, especially over 50? Now, if you're an introvert, then you probably are pretty much okay with being alone at any given time. You can handle it because the definition of an introvert is somebody that recharges their batteries by being alone. They can be social, like I can. I'm an introvert. They can be social for hours, but then they need to go home or be on their own to kind of regroup, recharge. Extroverts, on the other hand, recharge their batteries by being around other people. It just lights them up to be around others. And they may struggle to be on their own because they don't get that interaction that they need. So, depending on whether you're an introvert or extrovert, makes being alone maybe a little bit more challenging one way or the other. I know as an introvert, there's been times in my life when I really wasn't happy being alone. I went through a very tough breakup quite a while ago, and I remember I did not want to be in my own company, and I'm sure nobody else did either. I was miserable, and being alone can leave you with your own thoughts, your feelings that you're trying to avoid thinking about or dealing with. So it can be quite stressful if you're not prepared for it or if you didn't choose it. I think that's probably the big defining thing is whether or not you choose to be alone. When we choose something, we feel like we're more in control of it. It's a choice, it's not put upon us. Unfortunately, when you have a breakup, sometimes you can't choose that. You can't choose, okay, 1 minute you're with somebody and the next minute you're on your own. And that can be very disorienting. I think also being over 50, you can feel disoriented by being more on your own than you probably have any other time of your life. Because let's face it, your partner may have passed away, or maybe you got divorced. Your kids are probably all flown the nest and doing their own thing. You probably have retired, so you don't have that day to day interaction with the folks that you work with. So you may be spending a lot more time on your own than you ever have in your life and wondering, is this it? Is this the way it's always going to be? Well, the answer is that's entirely up to you. And I'm going to give you back that element of choice because that is the way to look at being alone. You always have the choice. It's not a permanent situation. You always have the choice to change it if you choose to. I think being alone can be very positive, especially if you spent most of your life, like I just said, being in the company of others or doing things for others, always putting other needs probably ahead of your own, always thinking in terms of what other people needed and wanted from you. So being on your own means you can kind of say, what do I really want? What's important to me? How am I going to get my needs met now? And how am I going to live the rest of my life really authentically and doing what I want? You get to choose. So choose wisely. Choose being alone when it's a good thing. If don't be in a partnership or don't be in a situation just because you're afraid to be alone. Once you get over that initial fear, and I'm living proof of it, you can. Once you get over that initial, transitional period and get used to being on your own, then it's kind of a skill that you can always pull in whenever you need it. I mean, if you're traveling on your own for a period of time, or if you're, like I did, moving to a new country in a partnership, pandemic comes along, boom, relationship breaks up, boom, you're on your own. So fortunately, I had some experience being on my own, and I'd started to kind of figure out how to think about it and how to feel about it. And I think that is what I want to tell you today. It's all how you think about it, or feel about it, I should say. Don't let your thoughts interfere. Don't let your thoughts say there's something wrong with you, or it's not right to be on your own, or you should be with other people all the time, or you should be in a relationship, or you should be doing this. Forget about the shoulds. That's not important. Nobody cares. The most important thing is, what do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? If you do want to get into another relationship, go on a dating app, join a meetup group, go out with friends, put yourself out there. But if you're not quite ready for a relationship yet, don't try to get into one because you're just afraid of being alone. It's okay to be on your own. Remove any stigma that you may think about what you should be doing or what others are doing, because most people, quite frankly, don't care. They're not looking at you and go, oh, you're alone. You just go about your business. And act as if it's a choice, because it is. You chose this. Through all of our little interactions, all of the steps, all of the things we do, we engineer our own life. So if we're alone, I take full responsibility for the fact that I'm alone. It doesn't mean that I'm always going to be alone. It doesn't mean that this is forever, but it means I take full responsibility for it. I've chosen this. And to be honest, I'm very happy in my own company. Now, but it took me a long time to get there. I didn't automatically get there overnight. And it's easy to slip into those thoughts thinking life would be better if somebody else was in it, or life would be better if we weren't alone in some way. And usually it comes down to relationships. Whether it's familial or romantic, it's all about our relationships. And that's, I think, where a lot of us struggle about thinking about being alone and thinking it's okay. But you bring your energy to everything you do. When you can draw in and really think about your perfect day, what you're doing, who you want to be doing it with, and when you know in your heart that you're okay just as you are, you don't have to be any different. You're perfect as you are. And when you know that and you go out into the world with that feeling, then the world will respond to it. And before you know it, you'll have as much to do as you want to do, or as little to do as you want to do. You can be alone and be comfortable with it, or you can be alone and struggle with it. And don't ever struggle with it, sweetie, because it's not permanent. And it doesn't say anything about you, or how desirable you are, or how beautiful you are, or how wonderful you are. It's just a temporary situation. And it gives you a chance to really dive in and see who you are, what you truly want, so that you can take the next step of going out and getting it. I hope this was helpful. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.